Y'all, we gotta have a discussion. With Year 8 Season 3 literally within pissing distance away, I've gotten back into Siege, and I hate to admit it, the game is currently the best it has been in a very, very long time. Just to get this out of the way, if you don't know what Rainbow Six Siege is, I'm kind of surprised. Rainbow Six is a tactical 5v5 first-person shooter in which one team sets out to plant a diffuser, rescue a hostage, or just wipe out the enemy team, while the enemy team defends the bomb, protects the hostage, or also tries to wipe out the enemy team. Both teams have a set of operators that all have their own unique weapons and abilities. For example, Thermite can blow a Texas-sized hole into just about anything reinforced, but if the enemy has an operator like Kaid or Bandit, they can prevent that from happening. Rainbow Six Siege is a game that's always sat in the back of my mind with fond memories of it going all the way back to Operation Health and Operation Outbreak, but none of them have hit me as hard as Ember Rise, Shifting Tides, and Void Edge. When I used to live stream a bunch, I settled down into the niche of being a console Siege streamer. Going back and looking at some of these clips, I don't know what the hell I was thinking. Regardless, I came into Siege at arguably the worst time period of its life. People were severely unhappy with the future of the franchise. Even pros like Pingu were fed up with the shit going on at the time. And this was possibly the most unsafe time to play the game on console as well, because DDoS attacks were high and rampant. Plus, with the lack of streamer mode to disguise your name or those that you're playing against in the lobby, especially to those that were streaming on Mixer, like I was. Another thing that there were plenty of with no signs of slowing down were the use of Zen adapters. Natively, consoles didn't support mouse and keyboard inputs on Siege the same way MW19 did, where you could just plug it in and you were good to go. You had to use these devices that would essentially take your mouse and keyboard input and convert that into a controller input, so the console would think you were using a regular controller when in all actuality, you had something that could get you to Diamond or even Champion with ease. With talk amongst the community that Ubisoft were going to implement a streamer mode, IP mask servers, and a system to ban those using a Zen device, a lot of us were hopeful that the game would get better. From Void Edge to Shadow Legacy, I was basically dreading my time with the game, and without a second thought, I put it down and never picked it back up. Until now. Dread Factor has felt like the R6 experience that so many of us have asked for and had finally received. If we were to look at the player numbers, it's nowhere near the amount of people it was back in February of 2018 or even February of 2021, and it probably never will be. But I don't think that stops it from having its smaller successes with retaining a very large and loyal fan base, not just on PC, but on consoles as well. Now, after watching videos from multiple creators, the current opinion of the game boils down to, the game is more of a meta shooter than a tactical shooter, but that's how it stays relevant. It's sad, but also kind of true. When you play a ranked game, you're going to get these most common bans no matter what map you're on, okay? Jackal and Mira are automatically out of the picture. Not all of the time, but if you were to ask 10 people what they were going to ban, 9 times out of 10 the two ops they're going to ban are going to be Jackal and Mira without a doubt. Honestly, and I might catch a little bit of flack from saying this, I don't think much would change if they never got banned. Jackal can track footsteps. That sounds OP until you realize that the only use he has is tracking down roamers, which I don't see a lot of now compared to previous years. All you gotta do with Mira is melee her windows or send in a Twitch drone to pop them bitches, and boom, her ability just gave the enemy team a murder hole. That's just how I see them from my point of view at least. I also see the comments that the game needs to go back to when it was first released, when it was still gritty and dark. Trust me, I would love a more serious tactical PvP experience with mechanics similar to Siege, but the reason why Siege is popular now is because of how the game is. That's why I honestly feel like games like 0 Hour don't really get to share the stage with games like Siege, even though you can make the argument that 0 Hour is a more dark and gritty experience people crave, but without the abilities. Also, this isn't me shitting on 0 Hour, by the way. It's a pretty fun game. You could also make the argument that 0 Hour is about as noticeable as a gnat's dick compared to Siege, but in some ways, you can easily compare them. Now that I've spoken my piece about where I think Siege is going, and by the way, let me know if you have any agreements or disagreements in the comments. I'd love to hear them. Let's dabble on Season 3 real quick, because there are a lot of things I'm excited to see, and some stuff this game can do without. I'm also going to be hitting the high points in my opinion, but when it comes to the rest, I'll leave that down below. Let's start with Quick Match, because their main focus is to make it quick. Obviously. They've done things like reduce the action phase, reduce the operator pick time, reduce the prep phase, etc. They've basically cranked everything down 10 to 20 seconds, and at first you don't think that affects much, but it truly does. Personally, I don't know how to feel about that. I mean, it kind of takes away that charm the game always had of tracking down where the sites could be, setting up your own rotations and reinforcements. Sure, it saves time in your drone if you're not wanting to find what the operators on the team are, but that's really about it. It goes on to say that there are also going to be safeguards in place for both attackers and defenders. For the attackers, there is going to be a 10-second invulnerability at the start of the round to prevent spawn peeking. For the defenders, there are going to be red walls for an additional 10 seconds to prevent them from leaving the building. This is something I can personally get behind, okay? It gets tiring and annoying as fuck when the enemy team either pops you the second you spawn in or bum rushes you before you can even get inside the building. That's about all for Quick Match, and even though I'm not a giant fan of them practically setting up the game for you, I get that they're trying to cater to either the newbies or the players that have enough time to crank out less than a handful of games, but you know, good on them for that. Now, the biggest split down the middle topic of the entire update, in my opinion, Unranked is going away. Instead of Unranked, a new game mode will be taking its place called Standard. What is that, you might ask? Well, let me tell you. According to the designer notes, it is going to remove the operator and map ban phases, reduce the amount of overtime rounds from 3 to 1, it's changing the clearance level to 0, so practically anyone can play it, and they are renaming the competitive cluster to Tactical so players aren't confused about what playlist can be found inside. Now, why am I saying that this is a split down the middle topic? Because when Season 3 launches, there will no longer be an effective way to practice or warm up for a ranked game. For a lot of Siege players, going to Unranked to warm up and then hopping into Ranked was the typical thing to do. I know some players just gung-ho it straight to Ranked and hope for the best. However, by them removing Unranked, I can't help but feel like they're alienating their player base a bit. I get that Siege is diving into this gotta go fast style of game, but Siege was never really about speed. I respect them for changing the game and making it unique. But they've had to at least sit there and talk amongst themselves being like, oh yeah, we're about to cause so much shit with this update. That's about it from the designer notes. Again, I'll be leaving them down below if you're interested in reading them a little bit more. For my final thoughts, Rainbow Six Siege is a game that's here to stay until Ubisoft decides to bust out the double-aught memory foam pillow and smother it. A game that was once praised for being slow and tactical is now doing a complete 180 to appeal to not only the new players, but those that barely have enough time to do anything other than breathe. Like I had mentioned, I like some of the changes they're doing with Quick Match, but in my personal experiences playing it on the test server, it felt too quick. Like nothing could be done and it felt like I was being rushed. With Unranked moving out and Standard moving in, I do like how these Unranked games won't drag more ass than a dog wiping on the carpet. But I also feel like the fan base is just going to not play this mode and head straight to Ranked or not even touch competitive at all. Ram seems like a good operator for the time being, but I see her being nerfed excessively over time. I mean, hell, they're wanting to nerf her in the test server, so that must say a lot about what to expect. Also, Master Chief coming to Siege, it's just weird to me. Not a bad weird, not a good weird, just weird. It's also weird how people want to play Master Chief more in a game like Siege than in Halo. I don't get that. Just someone please explain it to me. Now I turn the mic to you. Let me know down below what you think about R6 Siege. Does this game have a longer life ahead of it with these changes? Is it only a matter of time before this game tanks? Let me know. And while you're down there, go ahead and smash that like button and blow a big ass hole in that sub button to all so YouTube can show you my content free of charge. This is Sir Blackout signing off to lean spam my way to champion. I mean, it can't be that hard, right? Later.